If you are afraid to stop your GLP-1 agonist, the various kinds of GLP-1 agonists, if you're afraid to stop that, I really don't blame you, because most people, the vast majority of people, end up gaining all of that weight back. And I've been a trainer for 10 years. I have worked with a lot of people who are on those various medications, and none of them, when coming off of it, have regained it back. I'm serious. None of them have regained it because of what we do that I'm going to explain in this video. So the main issue and what we're going to be focused on in this video, learning, like what to do, is the drop in muscle mass. If a person's calories have been here their entire life, and that's led to them being overweight or whatever, and then they drop their calories as well as their protein all the way down here, that can be a good thing. We don't want the drop to be too big, but that's how a person loses weight, is they eat less calories. But if there's no reason to keep the muscle, if it's just my life as it was, minus a bunch of calories, of course, you're gonna lose a lot of body fat, but you're also going to lose a lot of muscle because there's no reason to keep it. Our goal of this video is going to be to learn the 3 actions as well as the 2 considerations to take into account when transitioning off of any sort of GLP-1 that are gonna help you keep your muscle. The actions are obviously gonna be the most important, the things you're gonna do in order to tell your body and signal to your body, hey, I have to keep this muscle. But also, these considerations are very important when, specifically, like I said, when transitioning away from really any sort of weight loss diet or any sort of weight loss venture. There's a way of transitioning off of it so that you keep your progress and don't gain that back. There's nothing worse than losing 100 pounds, losing 50 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever, fill in the blank. Some of my clients, 200 pounds, and then gaining back 207 pounds. You would have been better off just never having suffered, never having done any of that, never having paid any of that money. You wouldn't have lost any time, money, energy, or effort if you just stayed the same weight. And I'm telling you, look it up. Most statistics are that people not only gain it back, but they gain a little bit in addition to that. So it just would have been better for them just to keep their normal, routine going. But this right here is going to help you take your progress, keep it, hang on to it, change your life forever. And that is the goal of this video. And I'm telling you, it's going to work. Okay, so the most important part by far is going to be you actually lifting weights. Now, I don't know if you had the intention of just using Ozempic and then, dieting your way down, but so you're gonna have to lift weights, and not just go in and lift weights 2 to 3 times a week. I'll put up a graphic of the body part split. You could always Google this, what is a total body workout, dumbbells only or whatever you wanna do that your gym has or whatever you have at home. But you not only need to work out 2 to 3 times a week total body, but you need to be working out close to failure. So I'm actually gonna go show you exactly what that looks like on one of my sets. I skipped biceps yesterday so I could do it today, because I think it's just really easy to see what a set close to failure on preacher curls or bicep curls looks like. So I'm gonna show you that now. But the reason you wanna do this, you wanna give your body a reason to keep the muscle. So if you're eating less and your body doesn't have a use for the muscle because you're not using it and you're not lifting with it, why not just take away at least partially what you lost? Let's say you lose 100 pounds. Why not take away 50 or 25 of that from the muscle if you don't need it? So you have to tell your body, hey, we need this muscle, and you have to lift close to failure, and I'm gonna show you what that is. I describe it to my clients like sticky reps. So, if rep 1, and like I said, I'm about to show you, maybe I'll put it on the screen now or just after this, but rep 1, the weight moves smoothly. Rep 13, 14, 15, it starts to get really slow. Whenever it slows down, go into that 2 or 3 reps, you are close to failure, and then the set can be done. It is awfully uncomfortable sometimes, especially on certain exercises like leg curls or something like that, but it is very crucial for keeping your muscle, and I think it is by far the most important piece.
8, 9, maybe 2 more. 10. 11.
Okay, so something that I forgot to show you, because I just forgot to actually press record, was that I did a set prior to that to 22 reps, exact same exercise. And so that kind of brought up another idea for me, which is if you're not seeing a big drop off between set 1 and set 2 and then set 3, if I did that same weight on set 3, I bet I would only get 8 reps at most. That would be a grind. And whereas I got 22 on the first set. Whenever you give enough effort in a set, your muscle's pretty toast. That's why, you know, total volume, like a total body program 2 or 3 times a week where you're only hitting, you know, 3 sets per body part. Sometimes you only need 2 sets per body part, especially at first, because if you're giving enough effort, you really are draining the muscle. You're giving it a good work, and then it's going to respond, and then, you know, you're going to grow from that. So you don't need tons of volume. You don't need to be at the gym 7 days a week, you know, 6 days, 5 days a week. I do. I split it up. I'll get into that in other videos, but for now, 2 to 3 days a week, pushing hard. That's what's key about this point, is pushing the set to close to failure with safety, controlling the weight, making sure you're not accidentally, you know, slinging it around. And if anything hurts, then, you know, obviously, you know, check that out. But discomfort in the muscle, that's what we want. Okay, now the next point is going to be about cardio. So I'm a big believer in the main method that you're going to be using in order to, you know, burn calories and get into a calorie deficit and therefore lose body fat, even on Ozempic or whatever, is through cardio. It's through movement. Now, for me, I do like steps with my clients mainly, especially at first. Right now, it's towards the beginning of the day, I only have 6,732 steps. But normally, you know, I'll end the day 14, 16,000 steps, somewhere around there. It's not about getting a ton of steps. It's not necessarily what it's about, but cardio is a really good way of getting your steps, whatever your steps are. You know, if I'll assign my clients like 8,000 steps. We make it a non-negotiable where they have to reach that every day, or I'm, you know, hollering at them a little bit. So the point to do here is that if you do too much cardio, if you're doing it through a calorie deficit and then just a ton of cardio, you're going to be eating through that muscle, and that's why lifting weight is by far going to be the most important thing in order to keep that muscle. And your protein, of course, very important as well, but not doing endless amounts of cardio. Of course, that is going to speed it up, but you have to make sure to, you know, eat to replace some of that energy, and Ozempic makes that difficult. And so that is why the main thing for this point is not doing a ton of cardio. I would base that off of how much you are actually losing. So if you're losing, you know, 2 pounds a week, then, you know, I guess depending on your body weight, that's fine. If it's around 1% of your body weight, if you're around 200 pounds, that's okay. If you're losing 3, 4, 5 pounds a week on Ozempic and you're doing a ton of cardio, you are going to be eating through muscle. And so that's the point here, is just to make sure not to overdo it on the cardio. Okay, so the next most important consideration is going to be protein. So I'm going to show you my fridge here. Let me see if I can. Okay. Now, I know this isn't like, you know, specifically about protein and stuff. Packaged lunch meat, judge me if you want to. So this is like an Asian meal, Asian stir fry meal. This is a white chicken chili. That's more stir fry. And this is a Mexican protein rice, queso rice. There we go. Geez. You know, obviously blueberries and stuff. And we're running low on food. So that's not going to be, you know, all of it, but let's see if I can get this thing to stick to my face, but guess not. There we go. So the most important thing in regards to protein is getting it high enough so that your body has a better reason to keep muscle. In addition to the lifting, we want to be signaling to the body that, hey, we want to keep our muscle. Muscle is comprised of protein. It's comprised of amino acids. And so by having more of it, not indefinitely, but by having more of it, it does help us to keep our muscle mass. Some major advantages of protein are that it keeps you full and helps you to naturally eat less. Now, when you're on medication, that's not the biggest advantage because you already are very full. But this is a good skill to build. That's what this video is about. On the transition, whenever you no longer have that assistance to make you feel full, protein helps you feel full. So it kind of gives the same sort of effect. As I mentioned, it also helps you build and keep muscle. So you're gonna wanna eat somewhere around 1 gram per pound of body weight. Especially if you're like transitioning off the medication, you're probably pretty close to like a goal weight. And so I would try to do 1 gram per pound of your current body weight. But if you still feel like you have some places, like let's say you're 250 and you wanna be 200, I would eat close to 200. Whatever your ideal body weight is, that's where I would try to have your protein. And the last little piece of protein is that it helps you to burn energy for free. So I think, don't quote me on this exactly, but out of every 100 calories that you eat of protein, you're only able to keep about 70, 75 of them. That means that you're burning calories just by processing the protein, just by digesting the protein. Fat, I'm pretty sure you keep like 97% of the calories that you consume, so 97 out of 100. And then I think for carbs, you keep somewhere around 90, 85, 90, so you keep more. of that energy from carbs. So just by simply eating more protein, you will burn more calories. It's called the thermogenic effect of food, and it is a portion of the pie when it comes to how much a person is able to lose. I can go over that pie real quick. About 50% of the pie chart of how much a person burns in terms of the calories that they burn throughout the day, the total daily energy expenditure. About 50% of that is just going to be genetics, your basal metabolic rate, that's how much muscle you have, as well as genetics. So lifting weight long term is a really good weight loss strategy. That's why you hear people say that lifting weight's more important than cardio, although I kind of disagree. Long term, it is more important than cardio, I'd say. But then the second biggest chunk of the pie is your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's things like taking steps and fidgeting, stuff like that. And then the next biggest part of the pie is the thermogenic effect of food. The smallest part of the pie, I hate to say it because my job is to help people exercise, is actually exercise. That doesn't mean exercise is not super important. I think it's vital for a lot of the things we're discussing in this video, for maintaining muscle mass, keeping your basal metabolic rate up, the positivity and the motivation of actually sticking to your diet whenever you feel like you've done something and you don't feel like there's just this sloth that, hey, I'm just going to diet my way down. So activity, and not to mention it's super healthy and going to help you live longer. So that's the main benefits there. Okay, also you want to lower your dose gradually. I know this is kind of obvious, like outside of the fitness realm, but with my clients, I'll typically discuss with them, instead of quitting cold turkey from 1.75 or 2.25 or whatever they were on, lowering their dose down to the next increment and gradually coming off of the medication at each stage. And this is what's key. This is where it kind of does tie back into fitness and how a personal trainer, could coach you in this. At each stage, working on eating more, because you have to practice eating that volume of food, because whenever you're completely off of the medicine, you're gonna need to, know how to navigate that. So typically you're gonna be focused on foods that are high volume, which means high protein. Fruits and vegetables is like the base of your diet. And then outside of that, whole grains, low-fat dairy, things like that are going to give you a lot of protein and a lot of volume in your meals, allowing you to still eat less in terms of total calories, but you'll be eating more in terms of the volume of food. And so I try to work with my clients on eating more in terms of the volume of their food. Obviously, whenever coming off the medication, if you're far hungrier and you don't have that volume of food base, things like recipes, and I'm about to talk to you about that in a second, which is, I think, I have a recipe book that is awesome. It's free, and I'll tell you about it in a second. But if you don't have that base of high volume food and you fill it with Twinkies and donuts and cakes and even just processed pastas and everything, there's just a lot of calories in those. There's nothing necessarily wrong with those. It's just there's a ton of calories. And so your goal should be to learn recipes that actually taste good and take up a lot of room on the plate for the calories that you're getting. And so I have a free cookbook. I add to it every once in a while. Right now there's only like 9 or 10 recipes, but they are delicious. I mean, things like white chicken chili and cheesy queso Mexican rice. They're fantastic. I absolutely love them. Of course, I'm a little bit biased, but I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it as well. So if you want that, leave a comment leave a comment that says recipe or something, or recipes, and I will add your email to my email list, and then I send that out every time I update it or whatever, and then I can just email it over to you real quick. It's through a Notion, web page. And it's really cool. It actually looks like a cookbook, it has all the icons and tells you how to cook it and everything. And I make it myself. So it's actually typed up by me, not some generic thing. So I actually make these. I'm not a professional chef or anything like that. Nowhere near. And, that is how I do the recipes and eat a very high volume of food. That's how I coach my clients to do it. Because as you're lowering this medication, as I said, you need to, learn to eat more food. And if that more food is junk, you're just going to gain the weight back, this time with less muscle than ever before. That's typically how it goes on these, coming off these medications. And the last thing I would say is be ready for the weight gain that occurs from, ending a diet, on any diet, whether that is, using medication or whatever, doesn't matter. On any diet, you are primed to gain a little bit of weight back. That is not body fat, okay? So I wouldn't worry about it. It's mainly muscle glycogen and water. So in the muscles, whenever you are deprived of, sorry if you can hear my dog, whenever you are deprived of, here, that's my dog. Anyways, whenever you are depriving yourself and lowering your calories, you are naturally going to be in a state where the muscle glycogen that is in the muscles is used up for energy. That's why you see a big dip in weight whenever a person first starts a diet, because they're using that muscle glycogen. And so a lot of water goes with it. I think it's like, it doesn't really matter, but I think it's like the ratio is like 1-4 or 1-3, I don't know, something like that. Where for every pound of muscle glycogen or for every gram of muscle glycogen that you lose or gain, it takes a pound of water with it, because the muscle glycogen likes to be, in water. So the water weight that you are gaining back isn't going to make you look puffy, isn't going to make you look, it's going to go into the muscles. It's actually going to make you look a little bit more jacked. So I wouldn't worry about that initial weight gain. You're probably going to gain 4, 5, 6 pounds back. And that's just what you always were. It's just now the water is back into the muscles. And that's something that you want. Now, what I'll say is you need to practice being at your new weight. So let's say you gain 4, 5, 6 pounds back. That's okay. In a month, you could always start over again. You could start watching more of my videos, and this time without the medication, work on losing 4 or 5 additional pounds or whatever. Think how easy it would be compared to what it was before. Now, I know without medication, it's going to feel maybe a little intimidating or different, but millions of people have done this. You can do it too. So don't worry about that weight gain. I promise at the end of any diet, that's going to happen. And typically what happens is a person will lose all kinds of weight, and then you'll just see it go right back up. They never intended on maintaining. I want you to go into this, especially coming off of any sort of medication, intending on maintaining your body weight and practicing those high protein meals, practicing lifting weights, all this stuff that we talked about in this video, and getting better at that so that you can maintain your new weight and be happy and healthy at that weight. And I forgot to mention, it's not like it's going to keep going up. Like, you will see a 4 or 5 pound increase, and then it's going to stay, and that is your new weight. That's what you lost weight to. You're not gaining weight back. Okay, I promise you, as long as you're not like going crazy with it. Now, if you want further advice on actually keeping the weight off and you want to go a little bit more into that, I use a dial. I call it my dial system that I use with clients. You can watch that video right here, and that will help you maintain your weight loss. So until next time, see ya.